In this episode of Denoised, is the movie theater experience back?
James Cameron's latest on AI adoption.
And Netflix is testing search with OpenAI. Let's get into it. All right, what's up, Addy?
Hey, we're still remote.
I know, we're still remote. If you're listening to this, then you hopefully won't know a difference. But yeah, we're still remote. But hopefully, next episode, we will be back together at the round table.
Yeah, I'm embedded in a week-long shoot, so I just got out. Lucky to see daylight here, and it's unfortunately not the best time to be on the road here in LA, so we're doing it remote.
All right, so a whole grab bag of interesting stories happening around the movie theater experience, and I feel like it's timely as well because we've been talking about both the cinema experience and the actual film, shooting on film, celluloid experience. First up, there was a big video going around that has made me happy to see how popular it's gotten. It was Ryan Coogler talking about his upcoming Sinners, and it was a 10-minute video by Kodak of him basically talking about film formats, perfs, and how he shot the film, and basically all of the different options on how you can see his film coming out. They shot in 70mm, but they shot in both IMAX and Panavision 70mm.
Yeah, I thought that just having such a tier 1 level director go through the technicalities of film aspect ratios, film formats, perforations. I mean, all those things I'm always curious about. So really timely on Kodak's part to make this video and drop it on us.
And these perforations have a particular meaning because we shot the film using two different camera systems. One proprietary to Panavision, it's called Ultra Panavision 70, used on films like Ben-Hur and most recently The Hateful Eight. But another format we use is IMAX film cameras. Those cameras spin the film in a horizontal fashion, and they spin it using 15 perfs per frame. So the film was shot with two different aspect ratios, and this is the first time ever that a film has been released combining these two. So it was a pretty complicated process to shoot. We had a lot of fun, but when it comes down to the release, there's a lot of options for you guys. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So
really fascinating.
Yeah. And also cool. But first off, I didn't realize that Panavision had their own method of shooting 70mm natively. So that was new to me. That was interesting.
Yeah. And you're telling me for 100 years of shooting film, this is the first time you've matched a vertical perf with a horizontal perf. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Or that super wide. Because I mean, obviously like Christopher Nolan does this a lot, but he's never shot in the extreme wide format, which then cuts to the more square format. So it feels like it's gonna be a very dramatic shift, you know, as when you're going from like one scene to the full IMAX ratio.
Yeah, and I just love when he's holding the IMAX film. It's so gigantic, just like not the roll of film in a camera that you'd expect.
I'm excited to see that film is back, and he was explaining too because it's exciting that he shot it this way. It's exciting that he's explaining it. Also, it's exciting that the video has been doing so well. There's like over 100,000 views on YouTube and on X, where it was also posted. Some of the shots became memes. But the crazy thing is there was a post from IMAX, and also he goes into detail too of like where you can see it, you know, as it was shot in full IMAX. And there are only 10 movie theaters in the entire world where you can see it as it was shot and intended to be seen, which is kind of sad. Yeah, two of them are here in LA, and then you got New York. You got my old theater in South Florida, which is not even in Miami. It's in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
It is the Museum IMAX Theater, but it is the only remaining true IMAX screen with a 70mm projector, and then a handful of other theaters. I think one in London, one in Louisiana, one in Texas.
Yeah, it's a philosophical debate. You know, what is film? What is cinema? And I think the reason why we're getting a lot of traction, I mean, we covered film episode last episode, and so we're right on top of this trend. And I wouldn't even say it's a trend; it's rather a reawakening of what was once great. The reason, in my opinion, is that there is so much content out there. Whether you're talking about film, TV shows that are quote unquote cinematic, right? They're shot at the highest level with the best cameras and the best light. But then what is truly authentically cinema? What was it at 50 years ago, 100 years ago? What is the origin story? And I think this is the part that Kodak is playing to, and Sinners is going to dominate on, is this is as authentic as a cinema gets because it was shot on film. It will be shown on film on a projector. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to relive the experience of what was once the most grandeur of all, cinematic experiences, then this is the way to do it. So I think it's like a nostalgic itch that is now all of a sudden a really interesting topic.
And something that gives you a reason to like go see it in the theaters and not, wait for streaming.
Yes.
To like have this experience that you can't really see it this way. You can't experience it this way.
Yeah, like you can listen to like somebody like Quentin Tarantino tell you to go to the theaters and see a movie, sitting in that chair. But then what does it mean for you? So I think this is more of a quantifiable thing that is more relatable for most people right now, because we're literally drowning in a world of digital content, whether it's the streamers, or YouTube or whatnot. So what is not digital? What is that analog format?
Sinners is not just content. It is elevated.
And the movie has got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes as of this recording.
I know. I mean, yeah, and on top of this, like, it has excellent reviews, which, of course, as we talk about a lot, it comes down to, like, it's got to be a great story, to start with. Yeah. And everything else is extra.
And I think you're a big fan of Creed. I'm a big fan of Black Panther. So, like...
Yeah, I love Creed. And Black Panther's great, too. But yeah, Creed's one of my favorite. Yeah, I got another soundbite, too, from him, too, just talking about the magic of the theater experience. Let me just play that right now.
The reason I fell in love with theaters was because, I came up, my parents was working class in Oakland. And it was the most affordable way for us to go out and have a good time and have an experience. I still believe in that communal experience of, going to the movies. This version right here, we worked especially hard on to make sure it tells a story, to make sure all of the story is there for you guys.
And speaking of the theater experience, another film that has sort of revitalized the theater experience is a Minecraft movie, which I have not seen, but it has done way better than I think anyone expected it to do. Have any of your kids seen it? Have you gone to see it?
They really want to go see it. I think we're going to go this weekend. That is not surprising at all. I would imagine if there was a Roblox movie or a Fortnite movie, it would do equally as well. There's just such a massive cultural momentum around this game that, all you have to do is not mess up the story, really.
Yeah, and it's so great too that it's like, young people going to the theater when there's so much talk of like the theater, experience is dead with like Gen Z and stuff. It's like, no, maybe there just haven't really been films or movies that were made for them or connected with them. And this is something that has, and we've been seeing clips of, to an extreme level, kids going crazy in movie theaters during the climax and like cheering and borderline causing a disruption. But I mean, there was one, I think, kind of crazy story where like police were called for like throwing popcorn and stuff. But I mean, for them to be that excited and like that together, I think overall is pretty cool. And I know Jared Hess, the director, thought, it was like great to see that excitement. I remember when Star Wars 2 came out and like people brought lightsabers to the movie theater and like were busting them out during like Duel of Fates and the other battles in episode 2. I know Duel of Fates was episode 1. But yeah, it's just like, it's great to see like that come back, and that has not, that's not dead. That, have fun with your friends and see some awesome movie together.
I love your insight on sort of giving the younger audience the thing that they want in a cinematic wrapper, right? And it's essentially what Minecraft is doing here. If you go back to like previous video game movie adaptations, like the recent Mario Brother animated film, I mean, Mario Brothers is really not a Gen Z thing. It's maybe a elder millennial Gen X IP that has hit the theaters recently. So still not something super relatable for them, although they're familiar with Nintendo and the IP. But Minecraft is like right down the pipe. This is very relevant for the youth today. So yeah, it just goes to show that if you give the people what they want in a timely manner, it'll absolutely do well in theaters.
And, especially with the age, and if they're even younger and you kind of write them off.
Yeah.
As not going to the theater, it's like, no, they just wasn't stuff for them or a reason for them to get out there. Yeah, speaking of film too, we didn't cover this on our NAB roundup, but in our film episode, I did mention like, oh, right, by the way, remember Blackmagic still makes a film scanner, the Cintel film scanner. One of the other updates from Blackmagic was an update to their Cintel film scanner. There's now a Gen 3 of their film scanner. I believe the main updates were that it has more improvements for scanning 8 and 16 millimeter film. So fun to see that they're still updating that. And I don't know if the reason for going to smaller formats is that there's also resurgence in smaller formats coming through. But yeah, film is not dead.
Film is quite the opposite, having a second life.
Yeah, another sort of side story in the group of movie theaters. This one's an iconic LA one. So the Cinerama Dome is an iconic LA theater. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you see the outside of it, I'm sure it will look familiar. I think it's been in Tarantino films.
It's been in a lot of films. If you watch like Licorice Pizza or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, really any movie that was quote unquote shot in OG LA, Cinerama Dome is most likely going to be in that film. It is the quintessential cinema theater in LA for, I'm guessing close to 100 years. So it sounds like they're facing some difficulty at the moment.
Yeah, it shut down. It was run by ArcLight, I believe. And ArcLight was a great chain, super high quality projection and just movie theater experience. But they sadly did not survive COVID. I think it was COVID that put an end to them. And that building has been dormant for a number of years. And it's been shocking because it's probably one of the most iconic theaters in LA. And, it's just always like, well, why doesn't just, a Tarantino or Spielberg just come in and buy the building and reopen it? And I believe that like just the owners aren't selling or some kind of weird reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but there was a rally this weekend with a bunch of supporters to save, revitalize, reopen the movie theater. So it's been getting a lot of support, but still no word on like what's going to happen with
I don't want to decouple
theater.
The two things. The resurgence of film and sort of the uncertain future of cinema and theaters. Both of those things really depend on the health of Hollywood in general. I would really be bummed, as many of our listeners would be, if either of those things go. And I think we need both of them in addition to the newer tool sets like AI and newer VFX tools and all the new camera sensors and lenses. Like we need all of the above. But what makes film and theater so valuable, in my opinion, is the need for authenticity and the need for a truly unique experience that you can't replicate at home. So I think both of these things together are obviously more powerful together.
And also, we should point out too, like besides Sinners, we talked about original films and stuff coming out. Like the next 2 weeks are, kind of a really interesting time because there are 4 original films coming out that, are not based on any IP. Besides Sinners, there is Drop, which is sort of that like suspense film where I forgot her name, but the actress from White Lotus gets like airdrops that she has to kill her date. It looks like a kind of crazy suspense film. The Amateur, which is seems like a kind of assassin film, and Warfare.
Warfare is not getting the same amount of love that Civil War got, unfortunately, but it is ultra realistic depiction of a battle in Iraq, I believe.
Yeah, except I think it was done on, if I saw a blurb, it was done on like a $20 million budget and already made $15 million in opening weekend. So still, we talked about like mid-level budget films, and it definitely seems like it'll at least make its budget back in the box office, which I think is deemed a success because obviously there's a lot of additional revenue streams.
The middle has been hollowed out, so it's nice to see movies in the $15-20 million budget range. I mean, that's a rarity in today's world.
Yeah, and especially for something that seems so VFX heavy for a war movie. And, the other thing too with theaters that, we haven't gotten into and that I know hurts the theaters a lot or just makes it difficult for them is the windows and how long the movies are out in theaters before they go on streaming, which again gives people, it's like, well, why am I going to go to the theater if I just literally wait like 3 weeks and this movie's going to be streaming? I'd be curious what the window is for Sinners. I imagine probably at least 45 days, which is, I think, what the theaters are fighting for as a minimum. But yeah, I think that's another big factor as well. And we've talked about this in the past too, where there were movies I tried to see and then they end up not being in theaters anymore and ending up on streaming pretty soon, even though I've tried to see them in the theater when they're coming out or shortly after they're released.
Speaking of movie theaters, did you see that Cosm is about to drop The Matrix on a limited run?
I did see that. And with some edge enhanced, what was it described as, like immersive enhanced borders or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Was it AI? Generated?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Just to wrap the movie in a sort of 180 format, I think is difficult enough, but they're adding stuff on top of it, it feels like.
I mean, it sounds like they're not going to try to wrap the entire movie in 180, but probably box it and then add something outside it so it's not just black, but to feel more immersive. I'm curious how they're going to do that. Also, the Sphere is doing a playing of The Wizard of Oz, and they're using AI to, I believe, up-res it, but I don't know if that also means do additional enhancements to make it fit the sphere better.
I did hear that a lot of AI was used for Wizard of Oz. Not sure what extent, and if it's even like true one-to-one with the original film, or maybe perhaps there's added content or anything like that. But this is a great example of bringing people back to the theaters, using ancient IP.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with the Sphere, like even the tickets for Postcards from Earth, the ongoing Darren Aronofsky film that they shot for the Sphere, that is like their filler when they're not doing a concert. Like even just to see that, tickets are like $40-$50 starting at, and if you want pretty good seats, $100. So, I imagine they're going to charge a premium for a film that is almost 100 years old. So a good box office number, same with The Matrix. I'm sure that's going to be charged a premium too. So yeah, it's another kind of similar thing with 3D, which, they realized, they can add 3D and charge a premium ticket price for that, and kind of win-win. It gives people a reason to go to the theater to see something different, and theater owners are able to charge a premium for something that people can't get that full experience in their house. That story actually ties into our next story, because I heard this story from the podcast that we're going to be breaking down in our next story with James Cameron. This one has been going around mostly because of one quote he said about visual effects and cutting budgets. Let me play that quote first, and then we could break that down. So this was on Boz from the Future podcast, which when I saw the article and that his quote came from a podcast, I was like, what podcast got James Cameron on their podcast? And then I realized it's the CTO of Meta. So that's how you get him on their podcast.
I think his name is Andrew Bosworth.
Yes. All right, play this clip.
And my goal was to try to integrate it into a VFX workflow.
Yep.
Right? And it's not just hypothetical. It's we have to. We if we want to continue to see the kinds of movies that I've always loved and that I like to make and that I will go to see, call it Dune 2, something like that, or one of my films, or big FX heavy, CG heavy films, we got to figure out how to cut the cost of that in half.
Totally.
Now, that's not about laying off half the staff at a VFX company. That's about doubling their speed to completion on a given shot.
Right, cutting time in half.
Exactly. So your cadence is faster and your throughput cycle is faster, and artists get to move on and do other cool things and then other cool things.
On that count, he's absolutely right. We talked about this on our Technicolor episode after the massive layoffs. Right? Mm-hmm. What is the future of VFX? It's a lot of the smaller contracts, because the big contracts are going away. The movies are just not making the money that they used to. I would even go as far as to say that it's perhaps a near-term 50% reduction in budget, and a longer-term more
across the board,
maybe 70% or 80% reduction in budget with the same level of expectation.
Yeah, we talked about this in Technicolor. And yeah, the preface to this was, his involvement in Stability AI. And that was where he was like, yeah, I'm coming from this to figure out, to be involved with the people tackling these problems. And because we have to cut these budgets to keep making the films that we want to make.
I don't think there is a lot of VFX artists that are not going to be welcome to, maybe not doing so much rotoscoping or not doing a lot of tedious work in VFX. Fluid simulation is something that's really difficult now, takes a lot of hours. There's promising technology in AI that is making any kind of simulation a lot easier, computationally less expensive. I think he's talking about those things where it's not an entire frame generation. It's little bits and blocks that are replaced out.
The things where you'd have to throw people at it to just like nudge and tweak and fix, to not, to have algorithms figure that out so that they could actually spend time doing the artistry and the stuff that they, most likely signed up as a VFX artist to do. Yeah, the other example he gave was cleaning up mocap suits where like the hand moves from like the suit, and someone has to come in and like frame by frame like shift the hand back to where it should be. Did you enjoy it?
It was terrible. I mean, look, we keep going back to Blackmagic on this, but like a good example of AI efficiency is the stuff that Resolve 20 has, right? Like the Magic Matte, the Magic Power Window feature that they have. You click on a person and you instantly draw a rotoscope around them. It's these, Adobe has the same features in Photoshop.
Final Cut has, instead of rotoscoping a mat around the person, it's just like, it's this thing, and it knows what that person is and that shape, and can like do a pretty good job of making a mask around them.
Yeah, and then relighting is another one that's really difficult. You need high quality HDRs from the set. If you don't have it, then you're approximating with, virtual lights. Relighting technology now, we saw with Beeble, it's close. This is something that could also save a lot of time. So when you combine AI-powered rotoscoping, AI-generated backgrounds with AI-powered relighting, you're talking about a lot of VFX right then and there.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, the interest of going back to the 3D thing, because it was in this, it was a good podcast episode, only about an hour. So, I'd encourage people to listen. The interesting thing was him talking about the theater experience and theaters switching from film to digital projectors, and that they didn't have any incentive to change because they were like, how can we sell this to the audience? Like, from the audience perspective, it's like, the thing you used to see before, it's going to be in digital, but it's pretty much going to be the same experience. You're not, it's like, from your end, it's like not really going to be that different where it's worth the capital investment for them to upgrade. But then when Avatar was coming out and 3D, and then it was like, oh, you could charge a premium and you could only really see this in a theater, like with the high quality 3D, that was the motivator that helped shift everyone to help move movie theaters to shift to digital projection.
Yeah. I mean, those are both of those things are happening around the same time during Avatar 1 release. Movie theaters transitioning out of film into digital, and then the reason for big digital being that this massive, the biggest movie in the world will be supported by 3D.
The other interesting thing from that interview that I thought was more interesting than his initial AI VFX comments was his opinion on AI and the copyright debate. And I will say we have sort of been in line with James Cameron about his opinion and what we've talked about before. And he was basically saying we should be focusing more on what comes out of the AI versus the inputs. So let me play the clip first and we can talk about it.
My point is, as a screenwriter, as a filmmaker, if I exactly copy Star Wars, I'll get sued.
That's right.
Right? Actually, I won't even get that far. Everybody will say, hey, it's too much like Star Wars. We're going to get sued.
Right.
Now I won't even get the money. And as a screenwriter, you have a kind of built-in ethical filter that says, I know my sources. I know what I liked. I know what I'm emulating. I also know that I have to move it far enough away that it's my own independent creation.
Right.
So I think the whole thing needs to be managed from a legal perspective as what's the output?
Yeah, that's
not
right.
What's the input. The input, you can't control my input.
Yep.
You can't tell me what to view and what to see and where to go.
Yeah, the preface to that, and you put the whole clip in, but he called humans, I believe he called us meat computers, meat something, and that we were basically we are walking around LLMs ourselves. But yeah, the gist is, from a human perspective, like we get all sorts of inputs, we get all sorts of things coming into our brain. Sometimes we can control that, and other times we can't control that. But the responsibility is up to us to, create something that is not a copy of something and have that judgment, to be like, oh, this feels too similar to, Star Wars or Superman or Batman. Like, I got to shift this, make this a little bit more original. And that goes, I forgot, a few episodes ago when we were talking about AI and copyright and outputs. And, it's like if you spit out a Batman, you're trying to make a Batman cartoon, you're crossing the line. He also was talking about like that there should also be more control over when you call up a specific style, which we've also talked about too, where, there should be lines between, give me something that is like whimsical and animated versus, give me a Pixar style or give me Studio Ghibli style.
I totally agree with him on this point coming from AI as a tool perspective, right? It's like, look, don't worry about how I'm making this thing. I won't even make it in the first place if I knew it was a plagiarism, which I think most artists would agree. No artist wants to 100% copy somebody else. They want to be inspired by previous art and create something new. Having said that, I think like on the visual side of AI, we just saw the whole Studio Ghibli meme thing happen over the last couple of weeks. Like, how can that not be an input issue, right? Like, of course, whatever model that was built was using Studio Ghibli material. So now it can recreate that material so well. So there's definitely an issue there, right? Because that was not permitted. Miyazaki obviously wouldn't allow for something like that to happen. But I also get Cameron's point that, nobody is being stopped from creating Batman from scratch in Maya and then rendering in Arnold and putting it on the screen. The issue is AI makes it so much easier to do that, even though it's the same output.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, also, where's the line between fan art and, monetary damage? So it's like so much of the Studio Ghibli stuff was just, people having fun. And I would say probably, 99% of everything going around, it felt positive and raised the brand of Studio Ghibli and the awareness. And I wouldn't really say there was much damage. And no one was really, aside from if someone, I don't know, was getting some money off a picture that like got a lot of views, maybe they made some money off that, but that should arguably, not be able to be monetized. But, when you start going into commercial territory, or you're like, I'm going to use these tools and make a cartoon that is in the Studio Ghibli style, and I'm going to try to, sell this cartoon or like make a movie in that style, then, I think that's when it starts getting into you're, crossing the creative ethical line.
I think the Studio Ghibli thing is just disrespectful. I think, just somebody like Miyazaki is not going to, like he said, this is a crime onto life itself along those lines. Like he is not wanting people to use this style that he created over decades to then make something that totally doesn't belong in the universe of Miyazaki stories. Now, having said that, that's him, right? So if we take another style,
I would be curious what he did think of that, because I don't really know if anyone got a quote from him about the X thing, because the quote that was going around, this is an insult to life, was from a video from I think like 5 or 6 years ago, from like an early demo of some AI tool that they were like, oh, it could speed up your animation process, and that was where the quote came from. So it wasn't about this itself. So like, I don't know if it's, because like I said, it's like so much of it was just people having fun and just, turning their family photo into a Studio Ghibli thing. And it was, harmless and fun. And they just really, enjoy the style that he created, and, it was whimsical. So I would be curious if, for the most part, he was, flattered that, it resonated with so many people versus, feeling like there was brand or
yeah, I think we can all agree that the
happened.
style of Miyazaki and Spirited Away is universally loved. Like, all of the terrible images that were converted into this style were instantly more fuzzy and warm and likable. Even the White House used it for something awful.
That was the 1% I was thinking of like,
yeah,
not the best use. Yeah, and so then our last story came out that Netflix is testing new search technology that is using OpenAI to help power their search to give better TV and movie results in the search.
I wonder what the licensing cost on that is and how much money OpenAI made on that one. Wow, nice. Yeah, this is a very tire hits the road, true real world application for something as powerful as ChatGPT. I think most of us are using ChatGPT at like 1 or 2% of its strength, right? Like we're doing basic searches in there, trying to find stuff that you could otherwise Google search. We're not really problem solving with it, not everyday basis. Take something like Netflix's search engine, which is probably used by millions of people at the same time, every day, all over the world, in multiple geographic regions. I mean, this is an exercise where this model will truly be put to the test. You know what? I'm sure they've done a lot of testing, and if it's already deployed at this level, then the age of AI has truly arrived, because this is a true revenue model for ChatGPT and OpenAI to be married to Netflix at this level.
For me, I feel like the issue with Netflix and a lot of the streaming is not necessarily search, because I don't really, if I'm searching, it's like I'm searching for something specific. It's the recommendations. And I would be more interested if OpenAI, if there's a ChatGPT integration that surfaces better films on the homepage for me. Because I feel like a lot of times, I go to the homepage, and if I'm like in the mood for like just kind of something in the background, like not something specific, like where I'm going there with something specific in mind, I feel like it's just like the same handful of films that show up in the different, niche genre recommendations. But it's always shocking to me when I maybe see something on Letterboxd or some friend recommends something that I hear about, and then I try to see where it's streaming, and then I find out, oh, it is streaming on Netflix. And it's like, well, why did, Netflix not, push this or recommend it to me? So I would be more curious or more excited to see just like it surfacing better things for you. Or, if Netflix is going the route of maybe, what I'm thinking of search is going to be different, and not just go, not click on the Apple TV and then have to like type in each letter. Maybe it'll be something a bit more conversational, and I could just talk to it and be like, I'm in the mood for like some action film that I've already seen before, but that isn't too that heavy. So yeah, that I could see that, being a big improvement. It obviously would have to like tap into everything else, like watch history and, ratings and everything, if it could integrate with other outside tools or apps like Letterboxd and other things you've seen, that would, depending where you're at, could be very useful or very creepy, would I think ultimately make better recommendations.
I agree with you. Netflix has been using machine learning or AI in the recommendation engine for a long time before the AI hype. And I would say they have a very strong team of AI engineers. Recommendations is such a harder problem to solve than search. To me, feels very 1 to 2 dimensional, give me a bunch of things that kind of fit this parameter. Whereas with the recommendation engine, you're building a really accurate, multifaceted, multidimensional profile of each individual user. An example is like I'm watching Black Mirror now, right? So I love those dark shows. And then I also like comedy. I like, Tom Segura or whoever. I like the Tom Brady roast on Netflix. And then I also like Chef's Table and cooking shows. And those 3 things have nothing to do with each other. So how does Netflix recommend me something I like out of those 3 things? And, that could be like a million different options that they're throwing at me. Which one will stick? So it's quite a complex problem to solve. I'm not sure if ChatGPT or an OpenAI model is able to solve that. So this is something that Netflix would have to build in-house. It's the same type of problem solving that's probably happening at Spotify with their recommendation engine as well.
And yeah, speaking of recommendations, I think, if I log into my wife's account and then like the homepage there, it's just like completely different. I'm just like, what is this world of all these other shows I've never heard of?
Yes, and you realize how much of a snowflake we all are, right? Like you and I have a lot in common, but we log into each other's accounts on Netflix. We're going to be like, wait, what? I don't watch any of this.
Yeah, no, that's so true about recommendations. And also, yeah, so much of it too is just like, what mood are you in?
And we're human beings. We have good days and bad days. And, some days we just want something really, low level that doesn't take a lot of brain power, and you put on, Real Housewives or whatever. Another day you want something really, really, that's something that really requires a lot of attention. And then you put on a David Attenborough biography or something.
Yeah, I was thinking too, it's like, I feel like where this would be even more useful is if you're an Apple TV user in the Apple TV homepage app, which connects, if the app's allowed it to, connects with all of the individual streaming apps and kind of has a bigger picture of your viewing habits across all apps, because Netflix is still, it's the most popular, but it's still, I watch things on Max, I watch things on Peacock, I watch things on Apple TV Plus. If Apple could crack Apple Intelligence first on their phones, but then I would for sure see them rolling that out to the Apple TV, and they're in a position, because they're the central hub for like so many people's viewing habits and all of the apps they use, that they would have an even better insight into someone's viewing habits and could really kind of dominate there of like pushing what people want to see.
I may be biased when I say this, but I think the company that has recommendation engines down to a closer level that is maybe a couple of steps ahead of Netflix and Spotify and Pandora and all those guys is perhaps YouTube, because YouTube's recommendations are sometimes really spot on. And I know that is the strength of the granularity of the creators. Like there's just a more diversity of content, a diversity of creators on YouTube. You're talking about millions and millions of creators versus maybe thousands of shows on Netflix.
Yeah, YouTube can get extremely niche. And it's interesting and nice too, because if you go on YouTube, it's like it's got the homepage and the recommendations, but then on the top it has the sort of the category bars. But those categories are specific to your viewing habits. And so like, mine will be like, filmmaking, cameras, Formula One. And it's like, you got the stuff I'm into, like figured it out. But also it's like, if I'm in the mood for that type of video, it's like, well, it's right there, and I can just click on the bar, and then I have my instant personalized category of videos to watch based on like the vibe I'm feeling, because I want to watch, something about like film, or I want to watch like a trailer or something.
I'm still waiting for Love, Death, and Robots to come out, man. I don't need a recommendation engine for that. I know what I want.
And I got to catch up. There's a good amount of stuff I got to catch up on. Black Mirror. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize it came out today.
Yeah, it came out a couple of days ago. There's a really good episode, the third one. I'm not going to give too much away, but it is AI related.
Okay, good. All right, feel like a good spot to wrap it up.
Joey was at NAB and we got a lot of videos done. Please give all of Joey's videos a watch. There's more coming out. Give our NAB wrap up a watch, and we appreciate your support as always. Leave comments on YouTube, leave a rating on Spotify, leave a rating on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And links for everything we talk about as usual at denoisepodcast.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode. And hopefully we will be back in person and can hear each other in real time and not have this crazy remote back and forth. Remote has still not been figured out yet. All right. Thanks everyone. See you next time.